Is your bike worthy for bike packing? Today we're going to look at different things like geometry, frame size, seats, mounting points, different handlebars, suspension, and all sorts of different aspects of a bike. So let's jump right into the video. Okay, so as you can see, I'm up here on the top of this mountain. I just got up here and I did it on my hardtail Giant Fathom 2. I am out here in Utah and this is a beautiful area to do a video. So let's start off by talking about tires. So as you can see here, I have 2.6 in the rear and I have 2.8 in the front. Now this really depends on my type of riding. For bike packing specifically, I like to do more single track type stuff rather than gravel rides. I'd say you want to have a fast rolling, not so wide tire if you're just doing gravel roads. But tires are a big deal where bike packing, so you got to take into account what type of tires you're using. Really, it depends on your type of riding. The next thing I'd say after tires is geometry of your frame. As you can see, there's all types of different frame geometries if you look at bikes coming out in 2024. And they've changed a lot over the years. You can see this one's a little bit more slack than what they used to be. That basically means that the front fork has more of an angle. So this allows for a really nice downhill bike, but is also great for cross country. Another thing that's very important with a bikepacking bike is having a nice setup for your handlebars with that geometry in mind. So you can see here there's a stem and it depends on how high of a rise you have. But honestly, just get started with what you have. But I upgraded to use this loop bar. It's by Sonder Confucius. I have a video if you want to check it out. There's a lot of different handlebars that you can use for bike packing. There's the Jones H bar that comes right out here and right out here. So it gives you like a 45-degree angle back sweep. That's really different if you're wanting to have more of a casual upright posture. But for the downhill, having your hands so far back definitely gives you a lot less confidence. Wider typically means more confidence going downhill on technical terrain. So keep that in mind. And there's also, these are flat bars, but there's also drop bars or kind of a hybrid bar that comes down a little bit. There's a lot of different options for bike packing nowadays. So it's something to keep in mind. But for me, the type of riding I do, if you're doing more technical stuff, I'd say stick with flat bars. If you're down lower or skinnier handlebars, it's not going to be quite as confident. The next thing I'd say is your seat. Now this one is actually just the stock seat that came on this bike, but there are a lot of options for bike packing. It just depends on what you want to do, what type of riding you want, and how long of distances you're going to ride for. You can go get sized at a bike shop to find specific seat sizes that work for you. The next one I want to talk about is the type of bike you have for suspension, whether it's rigid, which means no suspension in the front, or you have a front fork but no rear suspension. That's called a hardtail. And then the third option obviously is full suspension, where you have front and rear suspension. Drawbacks with full suspension are, you can see all the space that we have here in the center triangle. That gets taken up quite a bit by a rear shock, so that can prevent you from carrying quite as much space in the center triangle, whereas a hardtail gives you that full triangle to fill up with a frame bag or water bladders. And that's the best spot for storage. It's the most rigid, conforming to the bike space that you can put storage for your trips. If you have things out on the back, like a seat pack, that's gonna definitely feel like weight is going up higher. Same with something on the loop bar, it's higher up, so you want your weight down low. And then of course you can run a rigid fork on the front, which means, you don't have a front suspension fork, and that's actually really good for a lot of bike packers, and people choose to do that over front suspension. I'd say if you're going on rocky terrain, more technical stuff, you definitely want to have a front fork. The next one I want to talk about is frame size. So frame size, this is an XL frame. I am 6'4", so it fits me great. And frame sizes really deal with the distance between the bottom bracket and the top of the seat post. So obviously a medium would come down to here. I think it's like 17 inches, a large is 19 inches, and XL is like 20 to 21 inches. And it really depends. The reach as well from handlebar to seat post is a little bit farther apart for bigger frames. And also, if you have a really small frame, maybe you're a little bit shorter, or your legs don't have as much of a reach, then you start to deal with problems with having enough space to store all of your bikepacking stuff. A smaller bike means smaller bags and things, but you still have the same size of tent. So those type of things you have to deal with, and there are ways to get around that if you have a small frame bike. If you have a full suspension small frame bike, then that also can be challenging, but there are definitely products out there that are suitable for those types of things. If you guys are interested, I'm actually building a bike packing company right now. I'll be selling products, so make sure to subscribe. I'm starting out with making a frame bag as well as a unique mini saddle bag that goes on the front here. I'll show a picture, and then also a top tube bag. And there will be more products coming out in the future, like a handlebar dry bag and then a rear rack bag. So look out for that. Super excited. I'll be getting a sample here soon of the frame bag, and I'll be showing more videos about that. Having something that's affordable and also really reliable is important to me, and I want to have more people get into bike packing, and that's why I'm making these videos, is to show how fun it is to be able to explore and see new things you wouldn't normally get to go to without a bike, and specifically bike packing. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about, and I think we'll wrap this up, is mounting points. This is one that's very important. I'd say one of the most important things for figuring out where to put water and having tools, different things like that. And I found that new bikes that are coming out recently, they either only have mounting points on the inside, maybe one on the outside, if it's not catered specifically for bike packing. This bike, thankfully, it does have some mounting points here, here, and underneath as well, which is super handy. Starting to produce bikes that have mounting points up here on the top tube. So if you want to go strapless without a straps for your top tube bag, then you can mount them directly right here on your top tube. There's also some that come underneath this bar right here on some bikes. Mounting points in here, that's a typical spot, is inside your triangle. Also here, underneath here. And then one thing that's important to note when you're looking at your bike to see if it's suitable for bike packing is, do you have any points here for a rack or here? This one does not, so I've come up with a different solution. You can check it out in this video right here, but it deals with making a rear rack with this dual ride-along child bike seat bracket, and it makes it so I can still have rear storage without having any mounting points for a rack. And I didn't want to have to spend $200, $150 plus the cages for a fighter rack by Arrow. So that's a really great option. But yeah, look at that. Do you have any mounting points here? If you don't, you can still go bike packing, obviously, but it does limit you unless you can come up with a solution for that. There's also ones that can clamp right here. And then, yeah, having mounting points underneath your top tube, or your bottom tube, sorry, it allows you to put different things here, like a water bottle cage. I also have this little pump here. If you want to see specific bike packing tools and ideas that you can bring in your tool bag, then I have a video for that as well. Okay, so let's continue on. I wanted to bring up a point. I asked on a Facebook group, in the bikepacking group, like, what is everyone's ideal bikepacking bike? And there wasn't one clear shining winner. Most people, like 70% of people, just said use what you have. It depends on your type of riding. And it's so true. Like, any bike will work for bikepacking. It just depends on what type of riding that you're doing. Obviously, a gravel bike going on some aggressive terrain that is technical is not going to be very fun. I think hardtails that are coming out nowadays are really nice for like a hybrid bike between just getting into bikepacking on a budget, spending less than $1,000 to get a nice hardtail that you can use for trail rides and also bikepacking is awesome. So it doesn't take much to get out and enjoy your local trails around you, or go explore longer 3 to 5 day night camp routes. Okay, so that's gonna wrap it up for this video of showing you if your bike is capable of being a bikepacking bike. Let me know what you guys thought, if you guys learned something. And just to briefly go over, geometry is important, frame size is important, the seat that you have, if you have a full suspension, rigid, or hardtail bike, it's important as well. What type of tires are you using? How much storage can you have? Do you have mounting points for water? And what about rear racks or seat packs? Where are you gonna put all that storage to have for overnight camping? You can pack a lot lighter than you think. When you get out bikepacking, And this is what I love about bike packing is once you get out there, you realize you really don't need that much at all. Just get out, like find what you have, strap it to your handlebars, put it on the back of your seat or inside your center triangle, and just get out there and start bike packing. Learn what works for you and what type of riding you like to do. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. And make sure to subscribe so you can see more videos like this one. I'll see ya.